Hey folks, welcome again to one of the most enthralling, exciting, enlightening and entertaining session of Science Scamper for classes 6 to 8 by Educative. And I am your super science teacher Ambika. At Educative, we always empower all our students as how to think and not what to think. So if you want to experience the same, it's the right time to subscribe to the Educative's YouTube channel. The subscription button is just given below, guys. If you like our video, don't forget to press the like button and ensure to hit the bell icon to get all the latest updates from Educative. Now let's start today's session, and the topic for the day is forests are lifeline. Exactly. Forests are our lifeline, because if there are no trees, the green environment, the green characteristic of this planet will be lost, and there will be no survival and sustenance of all the animals, including human beings. So yes, they are our lifeline. Now let's see the topics which we are going to cover today. So we are going to cover forests of India, layers of the forests, uses of forests, of course, then interdependence of plants and animals, then animals depend on plants and plants depend on animals, food chain, and last but not the least, conservation of forests. So now let's start the first one. Now, forests of India. In India, as you know that India has a tropical kind of a climate, so we find different kinds of forest cover in India at different locations. Like we have evergreen forests. Now, as the name suggests, they are always green. That means some or the other tree will be having leaves, will be having fruits, flowers. So that's an evergreen kind of a forest. It is basically found along the Western Ghats, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, and in the northeastern parts. The trees grow tall to compete for sunlight, alright? And the examples are like jackfruit, jamun, guava, mango, all these ones. Then you have deciduous forests, the next type. They are seen throughout the India, found everywhere in India. In the trees found in deciduous forests, they shed their leaves in autumn season. The examples are rosewood, teak, Then your mangrove forests or Sundarbans. They are basically found in delta regions of Ganga and Brahmaputra. Basically, they are a dampy kind of a forest where they are completely damped with water. So they are dampy forest. So basically we find three kinds of forests in India, that is evergreen, deciduous, then your mangroves or Sundarbans. Now let's move ahead. Layers of the forest. Yes, a forest is divided vertically into different layers depending upon the height and size of the plants found in that. We have the emergent layer, the canopy, the understory, and the forest floor. Now the first is the emergent layer. The emergent layer is that the topmost layer which is formed by very, very tall trees. The second is the canopy. The canopy, you can say, has all the normal trees, even the shrubs and the herbs. They form a kind of a canopy. Canopy means एक छतरी जैसा, एक big umbrella जैसा, एक crown पूरा बना लेते हैं. And the understory has small grasses and small plants, and the forest floor has dead remains, dead leaves, dead plants, the leaves which have fallen down. So like that, the forest layer is divided in this way. Alright, now let's see ahead. Uses of forests. Yes, forest has a lot of uses because it consists of trees and plants, and trees and plants indeed have a lot of uses. So you can say that forests act as a purifier because trees act as a purifier. They purify the environment and the air by providing oxygen and absorbing carbon dioxide. Forests acts as a water purifier, definitely, again the same reason. Then forests help in prevention of flood and conservation of soil, definitely, because फॉरेस्ट में क्या है, ट्रीज, और ट्रीज आपके सॉइल को होल्ड करके रखते हैं. उनकी जो रूट्स होती हैं वो सॉइल को होल्ड करके रखती हैं. तो जब फ्लड आता है तो पानी की स्पीड भी कम हो जाती है ट्रीज से टकरा के, और सॉइल इरोजन भी नहीं होता बिकॉज सॉइल को होल्ड कर रखा है. सो दे हेल्प इन बोथ द थिंग्स टू प्रिवेंट फ्लड एंड सॉइल इरोजन, बोथ. Children, if you have any doubts, any queries, questions, you can put your things in the comment box below and your super science teacher Ambika will definitely get back to you. Now let's come back to the uses of forests. They help in the maintenance of moisture, that means the humidity. Because of transpiration, the water vapor, the water content, actually the water vapor is being supplied, so they are maintaining a kind of that also. Forests provide timber and other products. Obviously, a lot of wood is being provided by the forest. Whatever wood material, wood products are made, that is because of the forest, because they provide a lot of wood. And a lot of medicines are also made because of these trees and plants. We get a lot of medicines from them. So we have a whole lot of usage from forests. Let's move ahead. Action-packed info, guys. It's time for you to be attentive and pay attention. So according to the WHO, 80% of the world's people rely on herbal medicines. Now herbal medicines are those medicines which we obtain from plants. To some extent, the WHO has listed 21,000 plants which have been reported to have medicinal uses around the world. India has a rich medicinal plant flora of some 2,500 species. Of these, at least 150 species are used commercially on a very large scale. That means plants are providing a lot of herbal medicines, and we have a whole lot of species of plants which provide such medicine, that is around 2,500 species, and we get medicines from them. We make a whole lot of medicines from them, so that's a huge thing. Again, some action-packed info for you all. Isn't it exciting? Yes, it is. Many ancient remedies have been developed into modern medicines, you know, that we use today. For example, aspirin is a medicine, is commonly used today to reduce pain, inflammation, any kind of body ache and fever as well. Early forms of aspirin were actually derived from myrtle leaves, willow bark and birch bark, which contains a pain relieving substance called salicin. So, you know, aspirin, the drug aspirin, which is used in different medicines which are used for fever, pain and inflammation, it is actually derived from tree, and initially it was containing salicylin, which we get from the trees. So, you know, our basic medicines are also derived from the trees, and that is why forests are our lifeline. Now, interdependence of plants and animals. Obviously, both are dependent on each other, but how? Let's understand. Each forest represents a dynamic community. That means depending upon the climate, the soil, the texture, every forest has different kind of animals residing in it. Organisms living in it interact in such a way that the forest, you know, that the forest provides it in a sustained way, that how they can interact with each other and they all can sustain together. In a forest community, plants, animals and microorganisms live in a dependent fashion. Now, how they are living in a dependent fashion, you can have a look through this picture to understand. This is a tree, isn't it? This is a tree. This one. It is getting sunlight, water, soil, carbon dioxide, and so it is doing photosynthesis. So fruits have come over it. Now, the animals which are living, the birds, the insects, they are providing carbon dioxide to this and getting fruits in return. Similar is the case with humans. It is providing carbon dioxide, getting fruits in return. So you can see this is an interdependence. All organisms are dependent on each other for something or the other, and they all are living in a dynamic fashion, doing something or the else for each other and sustaining. Now, animals depend on plants. Definitely animals depend on plants. They depend for many things. Specifically, they depend for the supply of oxygen. The balance of oxygen in atmosphere is maintained by plants. If there are no plants, the level of oxygen will decline, and then the survival of animals is impossible. Then shelter and nests. Obviously, whatever shelter animal gets is getting from, you can say, plants or trees. Even birds get their nests made in the trees. Then food, obviously both animals and birds, they eat fruits and other things, leaves and what all not from plants, and obviously the pure air. Now let's move ahead. Plants depend on animals. Of course, plants depend on animals. Now, how plants depend on animals? Pollen and seed dispersal is the first thing. Yes, we know that pollen grains and are dispersed through insects also, and seed dispersal also happens because of insects and animals. So if insects and animals are not there, then there will be no reproduction. Sexual reproduction process will not happen in plants, and they will not grow, they will not move ahead. Then nutrition, obviously there are insectivorous plants which are dependent on other insects for their nutrition. So if other insects are not there, what these insectivorous plants like pitcher plant and Venus flytrap, they will eat. So they are dependent. Then other than that, carbon dioxide, obviously plants need carbon dioxide, and the supply of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is done by animals because they release carbon dioxide during respiration, which is taken by plants during their photosynthesis. So it's a kind of a cycle. Now again some action packed info, guys. Tiny plants called plankton live in the sea and make nearly 3/4 of the Earth's oxygen. The biggest is about 1 millimeter across and the smallest is about 50 times smaller. Now you can imagine, the biggest is 1 millimeter and the smallest will be 50 times smaller than 1 millimeter. But these planktons, they account for 3/4 of the Earth's oxygen. That means they are a big contributor towards maintaining the oxygen balance in the Earth's atmosphere. 3/4 of the Earth's oxygen, you could imagine that. Let's move ahead. Now, food chain. What is a food chain? A food chain is basically a feeding step-by-step process that which organism will eat what. And it's a chain kind of a thing. A feeding relationship, you can say. So it shows that how energy is transferred from one trophic level to the other, and it always starts with a plant. A food chain always starts with a plant. Now, for example, you have this food chain. Producer, that means a green plant getting energy from sun, doing photosynthesis and preparing food in itself. Then a rat feeds on it, a snake feeds on a rat, and an eagle feeds on a snake. Alright? And when they all will die, bacteria and fungi feeds on them. So this is a food chain. Who is eating what or who is eating whom, basically. Now, living organisms can be grouped into 3 categories according to the food chain, that is producers, consumers and decomposers. Producers are basically your green plants. Consumers are those organisms which eat other organisms or plants for their food consumption, and decomposers break down the dead material. Alright, so food chain is an important concept which you already have studied in class 6, but over here also you should know that. Now, conservation of forests. Obviously, we have to do conservation of forests because nowadays a lot of trees are being cut, a lot of forests are being cleared so that a lot of urbanization can be done. बहुत ज़्यादा लोगों के घर बन सकें, शहर बसाए जा सकें, शॉपिंग मॉल्स बन सकें, इसलिए ट्रीज़ को हर जगह काटा जाता है, जंगलों को हर जगह काट दिया जाता है, साफ कर दिया जाता है. So we need to conserve them, and for that the first step is afforestation. That means planting of trees. We should plant more and more trees as much as possible. That's the best way. Other than that, prevention of forest fires. Now forest fire, जो जंगल में आग लगती है, sometimes it is natural but sometimes it is due to human activities also. So we should avoid taking any kind of inflammable substance or igniting substance in the forests. Prevention of overgrazing. We should have grazing grounds, pastures, rather than taking animals. जिन लोगों के पास domestic animals होते हैं, they take them anywhere क्या ताकि वो जाके वहाँ पे graze कर सकें, but ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए because उससे आपका forest cover कम होता जा रहा है. Conversion into conserved forests, यानी कि हमें कई सारे जंगलों को conserved forest बना देना चाहिए जो कि government कर रही है, like national parks. They are like पंचमढ़ी एंड बायोस्फीयर रिजर्व्स. उन्होंने पंचमढ़ी मध्य प्रदेश में एक जगह है, वहाँ के बहुत लंबे लंबे जंगलों को गवर्नमेंट ने अपने अंडर ही दे दिया है ताकि कोई ट्रीज कट नहीं कर सकता. नोबडी कैन डू पोचिंग ऑफ एनिमल्स, नो डिफॉरेस्टेशन कैन बी डन. एंड सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट. नाउ सस्टेनेबल डेवलपमेंट मीन्स utilize the resources but in a sensible way. That means you know that you need to cut trees to get wood and other things, but in a limited way, and keep on planting other trees also so that there is a continuous supply. आप tree cut भी कर रहे हैं और tree plant भी कर रहे हैं, तो that is a sustainable thing कि आप उसे ख़त्म नहीं होने दे रहे हैं और जितना usage है उसी के लिए चाहिए. मतलब एक्सेट्रा में आप उसे ज़्यादा में नहीं कट कर रहे हैं. सो दैट शुड बी देयर, दैट शुड बी देयर. द सस्टेनेबल usage, the sustainable development, that you are being conscious that how much is required and you are supplying it, you are replenishing it as well. All right. So with this, we have come to the end of this super amazing session, and I hope that you all have subscribed to the EducateUp's YouTube channel. If you haven't done so, children, it's the time to subscribe it, as the subscription button is just given below. I know you all have loved our video, so time to press the like button. And for your super science teacher Ambika, it's time to sign out for the day. But till the time we meet again, be happy, be safe, keep planting more and more trees, and keep enriching yourself with EducateUp. Bye-bye, children.